Hey guys, it's me, SB, or Sonia to people that I know, and this is going to be just a quick video on how to make this tatting um, square, diamond, it depends on how you look at it. I actually found a pattern for it, but it's for shuttle tatting, and I kind of adapted it, and I really didn't find any patterns for this particular square for needle tatting. And I tried to make it with shuttle tatting, but yeah, it didn't come out too good. But anyways, this is what I'm making. I'm actually going to show you how to make the last one that I'm attaching to this one. So let's get started. I am using, I believe it's a size 3 tatting needle. And there it is. And some gray crochet thread, size 10. I think this is the Hobby Lobby brand, Artis. And it does have a lot of twist in it, but I have yet to find any knots. So that's good. So I'm just going to thread my needle if I can. The thing about this thread from Hobby Lobby is that it frays really easily. It's not like the Aunt Lydia's crochet thread. Okay, what I usually do is I measure an arm's length and part of my shoulder. So it's a pretty good length just to make sure that I have extra to work with. This isn't going to be a beginner pattern or anything. It's just going to be showing basic movements of how I tat and how I adapted this pattern. I will put it in the description below, and so that way you can go see the video that I think it's Frivole or Frivole. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she does it with a shuttle tat, and oh my god, it looks so beautiful, much better than mine. We're just working off the ball, so here's my ball, and I usually just measure an arm length and part like across my chest to my shoulder. That seems to be a good amount for this little square. So we're going to start with 3 double stitches. So 1, 2, or sorry, that was 1. This is 2 and 3. Okay, and then we're going to have a picot. So I'm going to try to get it in a way that you can see it, a picot. And these are just going to be normal, about that size picots. And then 3 double stitches. 2. Sorry, it's hard at this angle to do it. Picot. 3 double stitches. Picot. 3 double stitches. Picot. 3 double stitches. And 1 more picot and 3 double stitches. So in total you should have 5 picots, which I made that first one a little small, 5 picots and 6 sets of double stitches. 6 sets of 3 double stitches. I'll have it in the caption so that way you can see it. And then we're going to close the ring. And that's our first ring that is in the center here. as you can see. So we're going to repeat this process. So we're going to close our ring, and this is how I close my ring because we are not doing any turning at all in this whole pattern. So you want to keep it facing the front, and then we're going to do 3 double stitches. Make sure I'm in the frame. 3 double stitches, and then we are going to attach, we're going to join to our picot on our last ring that we made. So on this one I usually use a crochet hook. This one's just a 2mm crochet hook, and it works pretty well without dropping any yarn or any of the thread. Okay, so we joined, and then we're going to complete this double stitch because this is going to be our first stitch of our next set. So that was 1. This one's going to be 2. And then we're going to do a picot. You're basically going to repeat this first circle, just remembering to count this first picot. Your ring, but do not turn. So you want to keep it just like that. You're basically doing a double stitch and using that to close the rings. You're doing a half double stitch. If you're in a shuttle tatter, that's kind of what it looks like when you do it, because you keep tension on this and you pull that and it creates a half stitch. Okay, so once again we're going to do 3 double stitches, and then we're going to join to our last picot in the previous ring. And we're going to close this ring. It's always hard for me to get a grip on that to get some nice stitch definition there. Okay, on this last ring, we are going to be doing a split ring. And you don't have to do a split ring, just remember that you have to attach it at both picots on either side. So doing a split ring is a little easier than doing just a ring and then having to attach it here. I don't know. I think it looks a little neater, and plus you don't have to reattach your yarn. So once again we're going to do 3 double stitches. Okay, and attach and join to our picot. And then 3 double stitches again. So that one's 2 and 3 and picot and 3 double stitches. And this is going to finish off this half of the split ring. Just like that. And then we're going to flip to the opposite side with our tail thread. Pull it out of the needle loop, and we're going to do our other half, which I find to do it opposite makes it look a lot neater. So you're going to start with the second half of your double stitch and then go to the first half. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to join to our picot of the very first ring that we made. Now hopefully I'm actually doing a good job in showing this, because really I should have my camera or my computer in front of me. Okay, so now remember we're doing opposite reverse double stitches, so wait, reverse double stitches. Let me pull this off real quick. So that means it's going to be that half. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then picot. And it's so easy to go back in the habit of doing it the right way. Okay, that's 2, and that should be 3. Yep, okay. So now we're gonna rethread our yarn. The yarn is rethreaded, and I turned it back to the right way. So now this is what you should have. It looks a little funky, but we are going to close our ring the same way. Just pull everything through, get the stitches. Now remember what I said about pulling too tightly? I kind of did that on this one right here. But there's our middle part of our little square. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close. And we're basically going to be doing a mock picot on this part to create the top picot. But really it's just going to be, you know, us starting our work and leaving a little tiny thread gap right here. So to start out, leave a little thread space because we ended with a split ring. And we're going to do 2 double stitches. Picot, 3 double stitches, picot, and then 2 double stitches, picot, 2 double stitches, picot, 2 double stitches, and picot. So at your 6th picot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at your 6th picot, which is the one we're about to do, you're going to have 3 double stitches after your 6th picot. And then picot, and this is the last picot, this should be 7, and 2 double stitches. So in total you should have 7 picots. And of course you should have, I think it's 8 sets separated by double stitches. So we're going to close this ring, being very careful not to twist your work. And I know that's kind of hard because it's just hanging on by a thread. And we're going to pull through. And we're going to close our work. Now this one, usually I go really slow so I can see what I'm doing. And we are going to close that. Now, like I said, this mock picot is going to be a little tighter. You could always put a knot at where you start, right here, and then just start from there, and you'll have that mock picot. But I think this way makes it a little cleaner, and you don't have so many knots because we are already going to be having quite a few knots for our lock joins in this pattern. Now right here, what we're going to go do is we're going to go right in the middle of our mock picot through the back with our needle, pull our tail thread all the way through, and we are going to lock join, which is what I'm calling a lock join, but really we're just tying it off. But remember, we are not turning, let me stretch that out, we are not turning our work, so we're just going to lock join, and I say that kind of in quotes because it's not a true lock join in needle tatting. I don't think it is, but we'll see. Okay, so basically a Josephine knot or stitch is you're working the first half of the double stitch, and you're going to work 3 first halves. So that was 1, 2, 3. And your yarn will get very twisted with this stitch or knot, so just be careful with it, and it might tangle, so just fair warning. So we're going to join to the last picot of our previous ring, and then we're going to have 4 half double stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do a picot. And this right here, this little tiny stitch does not count. So we're not counting that one. And we're going to do 3 more half double stitches. 1, 2, 3. And the Josephine stitch or knot is complete. And it should look a little twisty on the needle. So we're going to close that. And make sure you just pinch it to hold it in place, because this one will tend to want to kind of twist around and get a little crazy. And you should have something like that. This is going to be your Josephine knot or stitch, and it kind of looks like a fan, like a little pinwheel. What we're going to do is we are going to lock join to our next picot from our previous rings that we made. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the back and pull our tail thread through. And what you want to do is you don't want to get it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. So I usually just kind of pinch it with my fingers, and then I tie it off or tie a knot and try to get it as close as I can without distorting anything. And it should look something like that. It sort of is a half double stitch. So our next section is going to be, where is it? Sorry, I moved everything. The next section, if I can straighten it out here, is going to be, let me find one that's a little better. This was probably one of the first ones that I did. It's going to be this middle one right here. So we have our Josephine knots on either side, and it basically just links up the center here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to close this ring. And it should look not as tight as mine. I made mine a little too tight, but this is how we learn. And then we're going to tie off. Hold on, I got all twisted up in the game. Okay, tie off. And that's what it looks like so far. And then we're going to join or lock join to our next picot. Remember to go through the back, pull through. And remember I told you about not getting too tight right here. That's what happened to me right in this area. I got it too tight. So it's kind of like a tension game that you play with this. Okay, so that looks good. And we're going to do another Josephine knot or stitch. I'll definitely look it up and put it in like a caption of what it actually is. And remember, these are just half double stitches. And we are going to close this ring and try not to get everything tangled. The key is to pull slow. There we go. You see what it looks like that? There, that's the way it should look. My first one didn't come out too pretty. And then we're going to lock that in or tie it off. And then we're going to lock join to the next picot, which is the center picot of the ring. Remember to go through the back, pull your tail thread all the way through, and lock that in place. And I'm going to try not to get it so tight. Okay. At this point, you're basically just going to repeat this last ring here. This very first ring. I'm going to call these the corner rings. Next corner ring. And I'm also going to be joining to my work over here. So it's going to be a little different if you're making your first one, but still pretty similar. So we're going to do 2 double stitches. And that's getting in my way. And then we're going to join to our picot of our last ring that we made. Okay. Make sure that's where it needs to go. And then we're going to do 3 double stitches. That should be 3 right there. Picot, 2 double stitches, picot, 2 double stitches, picot, 2 double stitches, and Let me see, 1, 2, 3. I'm on my 5th picot, and on my 5th picot, I'm going to attach it to my work that I have running still, or that I'm working on. And I'm just going to make sure that I have it on the right side, because there is a right side and a wrong side. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to attach it to the third one from the center, and the center I mean is right here. So the third picot on my corner ring. 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to stick my needle in there so that way I won't lose it. And I'm going to join just like you would to any other picot. And then I'm going to I'm going to do 2 double stitches. So we're going to close this ring off, and you'll see how it kind of just brings itself to the other. So remember to lock join to that same picot that the corner ring is in, just like that. And to tie it, and it's very important to tie it off when you lock join. I know it kind of makes it look messy. You could try it without tying it off and see if it works. The ones that I did, it didn't work very well for me, or I think it's preference. I didn't like it. So next is going to be the Josephine stitch / knot. And we are going to close the circle or the ring. It gets a little fiddly here when you're attaching it to other little squares. So I tend to go a little slower just because I don't want it to twist. And then always remember to lock join into the next picot, because you're basically just moving your work around. And I'm gonna tie it off. All right, you probably can hear my computer being all loud in the background. And then we are going to do 2 double stitches. So 1, 2, hold on, and 2, and then we're going to close that ring. And tie it off. Sorry, I skipped a step. Remember to join to the next picot and to tie it off. Okay, and we're going to do our next Josephine knot / stitch. Join, or not join, we're going to close this ring You see what I mean about it getting twisted? That's from the Josephine knots, and I just pulled it out. Don't you hate when that happens? Give me 1 second. Close this ring. Make sure nothing got too terribly twisted. Okay. Like I said, it gets a little fiddly with these Josephine knots. I'm just going to keep calling them knots. And don't forget to tie it off and join to the next picot. And okay, so we're going to be doing our next corner ring. And what I'm going to be doing is attaching it to my work that I have worked up already. And I'm going to attach it to, again, 1, 2, 3 to the third one from the center. And this one's going to be attached from the third one from the center as well. It's going to be exactly the same as a second corner ring. And then picot and 2 double stitches to finish our ring. And this is what it looks like when it's attached to another square or diamond. And let's go ahead and close this ring. Just try not to get things twisted. And I'm usually pretty gentle with the ones that are attached because I tend to pull them too tight and they kind of become oblongs. All right, and don't forget to lock join to that picot that's on the bottom of your corner ring. And then we are going to do our Josephine knot. And you're pretty much going to repeat the process of Josephine knot and then your middle ring, Josephine knot, your corner ring, Josephine knot, middle ring, and then I'll meet you back here so I can show you how to finish it off. Okay, so let's work our last Josephine knot. 1, 2, 3. We're going to join and then 4, not counting that stitch there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hit the pause button before you try to make that picot, because now we got to finish off this square. And the way I finally figured out how to do it, so let me get that yarn out of the way, is we're going to be attaching it to that picot right there. So what you do, it's facing you, so this is your front side. You're going to flip this first ring back, just like that, to where you can see that first or last picot right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your crochet hook, stick it through from front to back. So let me show you again, because I struggled with this as well. So it's facing you. You're going to fold it to the back, just like that. And then you're going to stick your crochet hook from the front to the back through that picot that you're going to be joining. And this is going to get a little fiddly. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to get it close to your working thread, you see, and you're going to pull through. And what I usually do is I just pull through like this. I just go on top of my working thread and pull through that picot, which I lost it. Like I said, it's going to get fiddly because you're working in a different direction. Okay, I got it. And you're going to attach it just like this to your needle. And this is where you got to kind of go slow and make sure that everything is attaching correctly and you don't have it too tight. Now it's going to look like it's twisted, but it's not, okay? Because that's what I thought at first. I'm like, oh my God, it's twisted. All those other times I've done it, it's twisted. But you're just going to hold it like this and make your last 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And we're done. And we're going to close this off. I find it easier just to leave it like this and wrap your tail thread around, because nothing's going to get tangled up or messed up. And then I kind of open this up and hold it in my little pinch grip here and just kind of let go of that thread, because we're moving it kind of in a different direction. And there you go. The picot is not twisted and you finished your little square. So what I do is I lay it down and I kind of get it to where I want it, and then I tie it off. And I usually do 2 knots in this just to kind of hold it into place. And let me do another knot here. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut off this end. You see how twisted it gets? Cut off enough so I can sew it in. And there we go. One thing I did forget to do is that on this little, we'll call it like a ribbon tape or something, I connected the center rings together, as you can see. And it's just the same motion. I just forgot to do it on here, which is fine. I'm not too worried about it because I did it all throughout this one. as you can see. These were some of my first ones that I've done. You see how messy they are, but I'm not worried about it. Like I said, it was fun practicing. If you have any questions, let me know. I will try to answer them. Like I said, I am a newbie at tatting as well. And I don't know much, but I know enough to get me through. And hopefully I'll be posting some more videos of some things that I'm making, maybe me sewing this onto my shorts. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope it was informative, at least. Go watch that other video of Frivole, I believe, is her channel name. She's the one who inspired me to pick up shuttle tatting, but I didn't like it, so I went back to needle tatting and I figured out how to do it with the needle for this pattern because I like the little square. Anyways, have a great day. See you later.